Would you ask that if I looked more like you? The room did not flinch. Maya Ellison's voice had not risen, but her words landed like glass breaking in a cathedral. Across the polished table, Victoria Langford of Carrington Partners blinked, her smile flickering as if caught off guard by a gust of wind she could not control. I was simply asking about team fit, Victoria replied, too fast, too polished. These things matter in high-stakes environments. Team fit, Maya repeated, her eyes still. You mean culture? A pause. Would you ask a white male founder about how he'd fit into leadership after delivering triple-phase growth and an IP portfolio strong enough to be poached by the Pentagon? Victoria glanced toward Charles Carrington, who offered nothing but a closed-mouth nod. Would he be asked about temperament? Maya continued. Would he be seated away from decision-makers during the photo op? Would your guests assume he was brought in to check a box? No one spoke. Victoria finally offered a brittle smile. You're interpreting things in a very specific way. No, Maya replied. I'm interpreting them exactly as they were given. That silence again. The expensive kind. The kind padded with practiced diplomacy and polished wood. This partnership is a tremendous opportunity for both sides, Victoria said at last. That, Maya answered, is exactly what I'm starting to question. She rose from her chair without waiting for permission and walked out. The corridor stretched ahead, long and echoing. She did not pause. Back in her suite, she opened her laptop. Her inbox overflowed. Board members, journalists, legal liaisons, all counting down to Monday's scheduled merger announcement. Instead, Maya opened a new draft. After careful consideration, Ellison Systems will no longer pursue partnership with Carrington Partners. She stared at the sentence, then typed another. We believe integrity cannot be negotiated. She saved it. Not sent, not yet. The cursor blinked on the screen. Maya folded her hands, rested them lightly against her chin. If she followed through, the fallout would be immediate. But if she stayed silent, something more permanent would corrode. Trust. Hers in herself, and her team's in her. Tomorrow would arrive with its own noise. But tonight, there was only this moment. The quiet before the storm she was no longer afraid to call by name. Maya Ellison had built her company from a borrowed desk in a borrowed lab, back when investors only returned her emails if a white male co-founder's name was attached. Ellison Systems was not an accident. It was born from precision, necessity, and sleeplessness. While other startups chased buzzwords, she had been chasing solutions, real ones. Neural data compression, adaptive machine learning models for emergency response, AI systems that did not just think fast, but thought ethically. And now they wanted her to sign it all over. Carrington Partners had not come knocking until the defense department called Ellison Systems essential infrastructure. Suddenly, Maya found herself invited to rooms that had ignored her for years. Rooms that still pretended their invitation meant power was being shared. But she could read the choreography. They praised her brilliance, but not her authority. They nodded at her vision, then gently suggested how it might be refined. And every time someone said, "We love what you've built," the silence that followed sounded a lot like, "But we'd love it more without you in charge." The first time it happened, she had smiled through it. The second time, she'd taken notes. Now, she kept receipts. That weekend at the Bellington estate had been packaged as a celebration, a symbolic sealing of the deal. But from the moment she arrived, Maya had felt the edges. Gregory Carrington's lazy comment about how diversity was great for headlines. The way her seating card had been placed 2 chairs down from decision makers. The way Victoria spoke of guiding her transition through the acquisition, as if Maya were an intern with potential, not the architect of the very thing they were trying to buy. Back in her room, the unsent draft still glowed on her screen. Her decision was already forming, word by word, inside her gut. This was not the first time she had been asked to shrink. In college, She had been the only black woman in her applied mathematics cohort. A professor once asked if she had considered something more practical after she corrected his theorem. At her first job, a manager praised her communication skills after she solved a code leak they had failed to notice for weeks. Every triumph came with an asterisk. Every seat at the table had been pulled out halfway, like she was only welcome if she stayed quiet. And yet she stayed. Not to prove something, but to build something no one else had dared. Maya Ellison did not need their affirmation, but she would not let them rewrite her story either. Her success had been hard-earned, but the emotional tax was harder to quantify. The way she measured every word in meetings, the smile she had perfected to disarm suspicion, the patience she had practiced while being interrupted, underestimated, and occasionally ignored. And still, despite all of it, she had arrived. Now, they wanted the product, the patent, the polish, but not the person. She stood by the window, watching the sky fade into evening. The air outside looked calm, but her mind had already moved. Something had shifted, quietly, like a plate clicking into place. Janelle had texted her earlier. "Need me to fly in? Just say the word." Maya had not replied, but she knew she would. There would be fallout. That much was certain. The press would call her emotional. The board would ask if she had really thought this through. Carrington would spin the story like they had dodged instability. But Maya had seen the cost of playing small, and she was done shrinking to fit inside someone else's version of leadership. The cursor blinked. The draft waited, but her gut had already sent the message. A quiet knock broke the silence. Maya glanced at the clock. 4:17 a.m. She crossed the room, pulled open the door, and there stood Janelle Rivers, still in travel clothes, eyes sharp despite the flight. "From San Francisco. You flew overnight," Maya said, not quite a question. "You sent a 3-line message," Janelle replied. "I packed my bag before I finished reading it. No hugs, no grand emotion, just understanding." They moved inside, the door clicking shut behind them. Janelle sat on the small armchair near the window, rubbing her temples. Maya stayed standing, arms crossed, laptop still open on the desk behind her. "So," Janelle asked. "I already walked away," Maya said. The words hung in the air like a quiet exhale. Janelle tilted her head. "Did you send it?" "No," Maya replied. "But it's written." There was no pacing, no dramatics, just two women sitting in the middle of a storm, calm in the eye of it. "I know what this looks like from the outside," Maya continued. "Unstable, emotional, maybe even reckless." She gave a half smile. "And I know what the board will say before they say it." "They'll say Carrington was the win," Janelle said. "That we were 2 inches from the ribbon and you yanked the track." "I didn't yank anything," Maya said. "I just realized the finish line they promised wasn't ours. It never was." The silence stretched again, but this time it felt full, not empty. "Then this isn't about Greg's comments," Janelle said slowly. "No," Maya said. "It's about everything they confirmed without realizing it. The tone, the positioning, the way they speak when they think you're not really in the room." She looked toward the window. "If I sign with them, I lose more than control. I lose the company's DNA." Janelle studied her. "You sure you're not just scared?" "I am scared," Maya admitted. "But not of them." "Then of what?" "Of who we'd have to become to make them comfortable." Janelle let out a breath, leaned back in the chair. "Well," she said, "I didn't fly 3,000 miles to talk you out of your instincts." "I'm not walking away from a deal," Maya said, voice quiet but steady. "I'm protecting what we built, what matters. You remember what we said when we were broke and testing server loads from a campus Wi-Fi signal?" "Yeah," Janelle said. "We said no shortcuts, no puppeteers." Maya nodded. "This is me keeping that promise." She walked over to the laptop, stared at the words on the screen. Her finger hovered over the trackpad again, then dropped to her side. "Not yet," she said. "The timing has to be right, but it's coming." Janelle stood. "Then you better wear something that doesn't flinch under camera lights." Maya turned, her face unreadable. "I'll wear clarity." The room had the air of a courtroom, not a conference. Every detail had been polished to gleam. Mahogany table, curated artwork, glasses aligned with military precision. But beneath the perfection, the tension was brittle. Maya entered without hesitation. Black slacks, cream blouse, no jewelry. Just intention. Charles Carrington stood as she approached, hands folded like a man rehearsing victory. Victoria Langley offered a diplomatic smile that did not reach her eyes. Their legal team flanked the far side of the table, eyes flicking. To Maya, like she was a detail to be evaluated, not a decision-maker in the room. "I appreciate your hospitality," Maya began, voice even, tone precise. "But I've decided to withdraw from the merger, effective immediately." The silence cracked. Charles blinked slowly, as though she had spoken in a foreign language. "I'm sorry, what?" Maya's posture did not shift. "The deal is off. Neurospec will not proceed with the Carrington alignment." Victoria's smile strained. "Maya, if this is about our last conversation—" "It's not just about that," Maya said, cutting her off without raising her voice. "It's about—" What that moment revealed, what it confirmed. Charles leaned forward. "We are offering a strategic elevation to your company's value. You're walking away from a 9-figure future." "I'm walking away," Maya replied, "from a future that would slowly erase everything we stand for." The lawyers rustled papers. Victoria folded her hands. "If there were elements that felt misaligned, we could have clarified. This was a merger, a partnership." "That's the part I cannot pretend to believe," Maya said. "You invited me into a room where I was never meant to lead. I was expected to decorate the narrative, not direct it." Charles's face tightened. "You're misinterpreting the tone of a few moments." "No," Maya replied. "I'm interpreting them exactly as they were delivered. In this environment, perception is data. And everything about this space, this structure, the way your team positioned itself, tells me exactly where Neurospec would fall in your hierarchy." Her words landed, without theatrics. "Just wait. Truth has its own gravity." Victoria tried once more, voice clipped. "We believe in your vision." Maya shook her head. "You believe in owning it." The room stilled. "You see our numbers. You admire our innovation. But you never asked about our culture, our values. What keeps the code aligned with the mission? Because you were never interested in integrating. You were preparing to absorb." Charles's jaw flexed. "Do you understand what this decision signals to your investors? To the media?" "I do," Maya said, "and I'm ready to explain it. Because the story I will tell is not about walking away from money. It's about walking toward integrity." She stood slowly, leaving no room for doubt. "There are deals that build, and deals that break." This would have broken everything that mattered. Victoria's lips parted, but no words followed. Even the lawyers had stopped flipping pages. Maya gathered her notes, no folders, no entourage, just her. She looked around the room once, calmly. "You don't have to respect my voice," she said, "but you will remember what it sounds like when it says no." Then she turned and walked out, not fast, not slow, just certain. By the time the heavy door clicked shut behind her, the entire narrative had shifted, and Carrington Partners had no idea the next 48 hours would belong to her. The hall was nothing like the Carrington boardroom. No chandeliers. No gold accents, just a plain white backdrop and a podium flanked by folding chairs. But the energy in the room crackled, reporters packed shoulder to shoulder, photographers crouched low, flashes pulsing like a heartbeat. Maya stepped up to the mic alone, no teleprompter, no stage manager, Just a stack of note cards she barely looked at. She waited for the last camera to steady. "Thank you all for coming," she began, voice steady, clear. "I will keep this brief, because clarity should never require complexity." Crowd quieted. "After long reflection," she continued, "Neurospec will no longer move forward with the Carrington merger. This decision is final." A ripple moved through the room, pens scratching, lenses clicking. It's not about numbers. It's not about contracts. It's about something far more foundational. She paused. 1 second. 2. Values. She scanned the faces before her, not flinching, not smiling. Our company was not built on vanity metrics. It was built on human potential, on dignity. And that means choosing partners who do more than admire what we build. They must understand why we build it. She flipped to the next card, but did not look down. In the past 48 hours, I have seen the difference between invitation and inclusion. I was asked to their table, but I was never meant to lead it. I was meant to complete the picture, to validate their progress narrative. A quiet gasp came from somewhere in the back. "I don't believe in progress that requires us to disappear," Maya said. "I don't believe in partnerships that ask us to soften who we are to fit into someone else's comfort zone." Another pause. Longer this time. "We were never meant to be anyone's trophy, so we chose to be our own table." For a moment, the room held its breath. This isn't rebellion, it's responsibility. Because what we protect today defines what others are allowed to imagine tomorrow. She folded the last card, tucked it in her palm. Neurospec is not for sale. Not when the cost is our soul. The silence that followed was electric. Then came the sound. Applause, slow, then rising. A few claps, then more, until the room shook with it. Some reporters stood, not for drama, out of respect. Flashes burst again, not for scandal, but to capture. A shift in power, in narrative, in history. Someone shouted, "Maya, what does this mean for the company's future?" Maya raised her hand slightly. "We'll answer all of that, in time. Today isn't about that." She looked into the nearest lens. Today is about reminding ourselves what leadership should look like, and what it must never cost. She stepped down from the podium. Janelle was waiting in the wings, arms crossed, smiling, not because they'd won, but because they'd refused to lose themselves. As they walked toward the side exit, Janelle leaned in. "You just rewrote the playbook." Maya didn't answer right away. She glanced at her phone, notifications stacking in real time. One caught her eye. A message from a young founder. "Thank you. You just gave the rest of us permission to walk away too." Maya locked the screen. She had not raised her voice. She had not played to anger, but the world had heard her anyway. A tightly worded statement released within hours spoke of miscommunication, unfortunate timing, and mutual respect. But no one bought it. Not this time. Screens lit up with Maya's speech. Her words, clipped into 15-second reels, flooded every platform. LinkedIn thought pieces, Twitter threads, TikToks with bold captions, "We build, we don't beg." Within 24 hours, it was everywhere. Black woman CEO walks away from $600 deal over values. Maya Ellison says no, and the world says yes. By Monday, Carrington was in freefall. A sponsor pulled out of their annual global summit. One board member quietly resigned. A whistleblower leaked internal emails. Gregory's tone-deaf jokes. Charles's complaints about optics fatigue. They tried damage control. It made it worse. Meanwhile, Maya didn't tweet. She didn't gloat. She went back to work. Inside Neurospec's Palo Alto headquarters, the mood was electric. Engineers who had once hesitated to speak up suddenly walked taller. Analysts added her quote to their email signatures. Someone printed stickers that said, "Respect is not a rounding error." Maya didn't approve them, but she didn't remove them either. Janelle walked into her office carrying a folder thick with new inquiries. "You should see this," she said. 5 offers, 4 from equity-forward firms, 1 from a European science coalition that's been watching us for a year. Maya flipped through the pages slowly. "They're not asking us to fit in," Janelle added. "They're asking how they can support what we're building." Maya looked up. "That's a first." The 2 women exchanged a smile. One part victory, one part vindication. But it wasn't just investors. Emails came in from grad students, young founders, underfunded researchers. Some wrote essays, others just sent one line. "You didn't just say no, you gave us a reason to say it too." Even some in the corporate world started shifting. Internal memos leaked. A rival tech firm publicly announced a review of its own. Board diversity. One major VC fund pledged new criteria, real criteria, for ethical alignment. No one mentioned Maya directly. They didn't have to. She had become a signal, not a martyr, not a media darling. Just a woman who had refused to barter her vision for proximity. A week after the press conference, Maya sat in her office as the sun dropped behind the skyline. Her inbox pinged with another headline. Leadership with Backbone, the Maya Ellison Standard. She closed it without reading. Janelle stepped in. "You've seen the market reaction, right?" "I have. They think you're fearless." Maya turned toward the window, the city glowing beneath. "I'm not fearless," she said quietly. "I'm just clear." Janelle nodded once, then walked out, letting the door fall shut behind her. Outside, the world kept spinning. Deals being made, egos being soothed, but something had shifted. Subtle, permanent. Maya hadn't just walked away from Carrington. She'd walked into something else entirely, a new lane, a new legacy, and everyone was watching where she would go next. The building had gone quiet. Most of the staff had left, their laughter and footsteps fading into the halls like echoes of a long day. Outside, the city lights blinked against the darkness, calm and unbothered. Maya sat alone in her office, the only sound the gentle hum of the city below. Her desk was clear except for a single notebook, its pages worn, filled with thoughts never meant for the boardroom. She flipped to a blank one but did not write. Some stories did not need to be written to be remembered. Her phone buzzed softly beside her. A new message, unknown number. She opened it, and as her eyes moved over the words, her breath slowed. "Hi Maya. I'm 23, building a small AI company in Atlanta. We watched your press conference from our co-working space. You didn't just walk away, you gave us a reason to stand taller. Thank you for proving we're not crazy for caring about more than just profit." Maya didn't respond. She just stared at the screen, her fingers resting quietly against the edges of the phone. Not every moment needed a reply. Some just needed to be carried. The door cracked open gently. Janelle stepped in, eyes soft. "You good?" Maya gave a small nod. "Yeah, I'm good." Janelle smiled, then slipped out. The room dimmed again, bathed in the golden reflection of the city beyond the glass. Maya leaned back in her chair, one hand brushing the smooth surface of the desk she had built her future from. Her voice was low, almost a whisper. They wanted the brilliance, not the brilliance bringer. She closed her eyes for a second, then opened them, gaze unwavering. But I was never here to decorate their vision. I was always here to build my own. The screen fades to black. Silence follows. Then a single word appears in soft, glowing letters. Legacy. And beneath it, Maya Ellison did not ask to belong. She built what others could belong to.